Cairo, 1923. Inside the Continental Hotel, a British lord lies in a coma. His breathing is heavy. His skin burns with fever. At 1:55 in the morning, he takes his last breath. And at that exact moment, the entire city of Cairo goes dark. Every light, every street lamp, gone. Thousands of miles away in England, his pet dog suddenly begins to howl. Moments later, she too is dead. 6 years earlier, this man had broken open a tomb sealed for 3,000 years. Carved outside it, a warning: death shall come on swift wings to whoever disturbs the peace of the Pharaoh. By 1929, 22 people connected to that tomb were dead. The world would come to call it the curse of the Pharaoh. But the real story is far stranger than the curse. Rewind to November 1922, the Valley of the Kings, Egypt. A British archaeologist named Howard Carter is digging through sand that has sat undisturbed for millennia. Carter is no elite scholar. His father painted animals for wealthy families. Carter himself was often too sick as a child to attend school. The only thing he inherited was a paintbrush and an eye for detail that, as a teenager, caught the attention of a rich English lord. That lord was Lord Carnarvon, and for 15 years, Carnarvon had poured a fortune into funding Carter's search, with nothing to show for it. Carnarvon delivers an ultimatum: one more season. If Carter finds nothing this time, the money stops. Then, on November 4th, Carter's foreman finds something buried in the rock, a single carved step. By the next afternoon, an entire staircase is exposed, 10 feet high, 12 steps down, and at the bottom, a sealed door stamped with the royal seal of Anubis. A name is carved into the plaster: Tutankhamun. November 26, 1922, the day Carter would later call the most incredible of his life. He chips a small hole into the door. Warm, ancient air rushes out. He lifts a candle to the gap. Behind him, Carnarvon asks, "Can you see anything?" Carter answers, "Yes, wonderful things." Inside, over 5,000 objects. A 10-kilogram gold death mask, a dagger forged from a meteorite, a coffin of solid gold, 130 walking sticks. It is instantly the greatest archaeological find in human history, and almost as instantly, the strange deaths begin. Back home, Carter kept a golden canary. Days after the tomb was opened, his assistant returns to find a cobra coiled inside its cage, the bird already dead in its jaws. To the Egyptian workers, this was unmistakable. The cobra was the ancient symbol of pharaonic power. It felt like a message. Then, in March 1923, an insect bites Lord Carnarvon on the cheek. The next morning, shaving, he nicks the bite open. In Egypt's heat, it becomes infected. Fever sets in. 12 days before he dies, a novelist publicly warns him in the newspapers that disturbing a sealed tomb invites punishment. On April 5, 1923, Carnarvon dies. The lights of Cairo fail at the same moment. His dog dies in England the same night. Sherlock Holmes's creator, Arthur Conan Doyle, publicly suggests an evil elemental killed him. The press has its story now, and it will not let go. One by one, the deaths pile up, and every headline grows bigger than the last. An American financier who visited the tomb dies of fever the next day. Another victim of the Pharaoh. An industrialist. A radiologist who x-rayed the mummy. Members of Carter's own team. The journalist who invented the curse story for the papers dies himself, of fever in Egypt. Then, in 1929, Carnarvon's secretary dies suddenly of a heart attack. When his elderly father hears the news, he opens a 7th-floor window in London and jumps. By now, 22 people connected to the tomb are dead. And then comes the detail that convinces the world once and for all. During the mummy's autopsy, scientists find a mark on Tutankhamun's cheek, in the exact same spot as the wound that killed Carnarvon. A 3,000-year-old corpse, marked in the same place as a living man. The headlines write themselves: the curse is real. Here is where the story flips. That warning etched into the tomb wall, the one about death on swift wings, experts who studied it found the wording didn't match ancient Egyptian at all. It matched the writing style of a novelist who'd been warning about the curse in the press. It was never carved in stone. It never existed. The tomb's own head of security later admitted the truth. A reporter once asked him about a curse inscription. He hadn't found one, but he smiled and let the story run anyway. One smile. That's where the most famous curse in history was born. In 1933, a German Egyptologist studied every single death and found no connection between any of them and the tomb. In 1963, a Cairo University doctor discovered many of the cursed had been exposed to a fungus that had lived in the tomb for millennia, one that could inflame the lungs and one that antibiotics could easily treat. In 2002, a study in the British Medical Journal compared everyone who'd been in Egypt at the time, those who entered the tomb and those who didn't. There was no meaningful difference in how long either group lived. In fact, one investigator calculated the cursed actually lived slightly longer than average for their era. The blackout in Cairo? Common in the 1920s, nothing unusual that night. The dog's death? Timed for maximum drama? The clocks didn't even line up between Egypt and England. And the matching mark on the mummy's cheek? That claim came from a newspaper locked in a bitter rivalry with the paper that had the tomb's exclusive story. It wasn't science, it was competition. So here's the simplest test of all. If the curse was real, who should have died first? Carnarvon's daughter, one of the first people ever to step inside the tomb, she lived to 78. The doctor who personally unwrapped the mummy? He lived to 87. And Howard Carter himself, the man who found the tomb, opened it, and lifted Tutankhamun's body out with his own hands? He lived 16 more years, finally dying of cancer at 64. For the rest of his life, whenever people asked him about the curse, Carter gave the same simple answer: I am still alive. The ancient Egyptians believed a person only truly dies when the world stops saying their name. Tutankhamun's own successors erased him from history, which is exactly why his tomb survived untouched for 3,000 years. But a sickly painter's son brushed away the sand and gave an 18-year-old king a second life. Today, Tutankhamun is the most famous pharaoh who ever lived. No curse could have done that. Only the truth could.